Good morning, everyone, and welcome to another Ohio State Parks and Watercraft virtual open house. My name is Brian Miller. I'm the Southwest District Manager for Ohio State Parks and Watercraft and provide oversight to 14 state parks in Southwest Ohio. And I'm glad to be with all of you today. Also joining me today to assist with this presentation of Hueston Woods and Sycamore will be our naturalist, Catherine Connor. And she's going to be helping us with the Q&A. If any of you have a question today, being this is a live event, please post those in the right-hand side of your screen there. And Catherine and I will be monitoring them and working with those today. Also, I'd be remiss if I didn't mention behind the scenes today, and you won't see his face, but we do have Sean Connor as well. And he is handling things behind the scenes today and producing this show for us. So thanks, Sean, for doing that. So with that, like I said, any questions you have, please post them on the right-hand side of your screen, and we'll do our best to answer them at the end of today's presentation. So these virtual open houses are a statewide effort to stay in communication with all of you. As we know, we're all going through some crazy times with the COVID pandemic event, and so this is a way for us to reach out to you and share a lot of the things that are going on and things that are going to be going on in our state parks. So in the Southwest District, we offer many parks with many different amenities, but today we're going to showcase Sycamore State Park near Trotwood, Ohio, and of course Hueston Woods State Park near Oxford, Ohio, which is one of our 9 lodge parks. So at this time, with no further ado, I'd like to introduce our park manager of Hueston Woods and Sycamore, who's been with the division for over 30 years, Ken Elliott.
Thanks, Brian, and thank you for joining us. As Brian said, we're going to be showcasing Hueston Woods and Sycamore today. And before I start, I really want to do a shout out to our amazing staff. Without our staff, these parks just wouldn't be possible. We've got staff that have been with us, 25, 30 years even, just showing their dedication to what they do, and just a huge shout out to them, and what a great job that they do. We want to start today with Sycamore State Park. And Sycamore is 2,384 acres located in Trotwood, Ohio. It's just outside of Dayton in Montgomery County. It was dedicated as a state park in 1979. So actually one of the newer state parks, the newer of 75 state parks here in the state. Also located in the southwest part of the state. Quick overview of Sycamore. And just to kind of get your bearings, if you're not familiar with the area, we've got some yellow stars throughout. And starting at the top there is going to be our maintenance center. Below that's going to be our archery range. Over to the left is going to be our picnic access, which is going to take you to the shelter and the ponds. Over to the right is going to be our horse camp, also access to the horse trails. And above that's going to be our group camps A and B. Sycamore offers several picnic areas with tables and grills, and also a reservable shelter. It's a 16-foot by 44-foot, offers 2 fireplaces and electricity. Just a beautiful shelter. I know the locals love it. Easy access to the picnic area and ponds. Sycamore also offers 3 camping options, one being our horse camp, which has 15 sites, has tie rails, fire rings, and water available. We also offer our group camp A, which is the larger of 2 camps that we have, and it's a large barn with electricity and it can accommodate up to 100 people. And lastly is our group camp B, which is a smaller barn, cabin, if you will, has a shelter and can accommodate up to 40 guests. We do offer 11 miles of hiking trails, 6.2 miles of snowmobile trails, and 20 plus miles of horse bridle trails. And I will give a quick shout out to our OHC folks there in Montgomery County that have been great and have really stepped up as far as helping with resources and labor to really make a lot of good improvements on the trails. And if you haven't been out lately, I would invite you to come on out, tell us what you think. You know, are we headed in the right direction? Are we doing good or not? Tell us what you think. But some of the improvements have been some reroutes around some wet areas. We've done some culvert replacements and new gravel throughout. So anyway, huge shout out to our OHC folks and our staff as well. So thanks again. And also with our trails coming soon, actually in May of this year, is our Storybook Trail. And we're definitely excited about this new trail. And there are several stops throughout the trail. It's kind of like going through the pages of a book. Definitely excited to have this at our Sycamore State Park, and looking forward to hearing what you think about it. So look forward to that coming in May. We also offer an archery range. We have several targets, as you can see, and we also have a raised platform. Very popular with the locals there. Fishing. We offer 2 fishing ponds. One larger pond, which is a 3-acre pond, just a beautiful pond, one of my favorites by far, and a smaller pond, again, beautiful smaller pond, half an acre. We call it our youth pond, but it's also ADA accessible. These ponds are stocked a couple times each year with both trout and catchable catfish. Hunting is allowed on approximately 1,500 acres in Sycamore State Park. It's great for deer, squirrel, and others. And moving on to Hueston Woods State Park. Also located in Southwest Ohio, 2,936 acres in College Corner. And it's in 2 counties, both Preble and Butler counties. Near Oxford, Ohio, as Brian said, which is the home of Miami University. And we also have a 625-acre lake. And just a quick overview. And you can see the big red loop right there. I mean, if you're not familiar with Hueston Woods, anytime we give directions to any of our park guests, that's the first thing we say is, you know, where you're standing on Main Loop Road, if you drive for 9 miles and come back, you're going to be at the same spot that you are right now. So it is a 9-mile circle, and virtually everything is off of that 9-mile loop. And just real quick, going counterclockwise up in your top left there is going to be our covered bridge that you've seen in the last slide. Just a gorgeous covered bridge that was built in 2012. Then we're going to drop down below that to our campground, over to the Nature Center and Park Office, as well as the marina, our beach, our State Nature Preserve, which is also known as, what we call it locally, is the Big Woods, the golf course and pro shop, our bird banding area, the dam, the lodge and cabins, and lastly, our horse camp. And now it's my privilege to turn it over to some other great presenters. Thanks again.
Thank you so much, Ken. I would love to talk a little bit about how you can stay in the park today. For that, we have our assistant manager, Lori Jennings, who's going to cover some of those different options for you guys.
Hi, today we're going to talk about a few different ways that you can stay here at Hueston Woods. First, we have our campground. In the campground, we have both electric and non-electric campsites. We have over 200 electric campsites, and those sites have 30 amp service, and they come with, there's a shower house, there's flush toilets, there's a dump station, and a laundry. And then in our non-electric section, we have over 100 campsites, and that's a very pretty little wooded section down there, really pretty. All of our campsites come with a picnic table and a fire ring, and all of our sites are pet friendly. In the campground, we have the campground check-in station. There's playgrounds, shelter, several trailheads, and new last year, we have 20 full hookup campsites that come with 50 amp service, and those are already very popular. And then if you don't like, if you want to come and you want to bring your horses and maybe ride the bridle trails, we also have an equestrian camp. There we have 20 electric campsites, over 20 non-electric campsites Those campsites all have a picnic table, a tie rail, and a fire ring. There's a shower house there. There's an arena, a shelter, several bridle trails there. And just like at Sycamore, our Preble County OHC, along with park staff, did a lot of work on the trails to improve them this year. And then if you have like a group that's going to come camping, we have 3 group options. We have 2 campsites that hold up to 100 people. One holds 30, and they're non-electric. They all have a big fire ring, and they all have lots of picnic tables. If you want to make it, starting last year, all of our campsites are now reservable. So to make your reservation before you come, you can go to reserveohio.com, or you can call 866-644-6727 to make your camping reservation. And then if camping isn't for you, maybe you'd want to stay in one of our cottages, one of our cabins. They range in size. We have couples cabins, family cabins, premier cabins. Several of them are ADA compliant, and we have a few that are pet friendly. They all have cable TV, and they come equipped with a fully equipped kitchen. Outside, there's a charcoal grill, a fire ring, and a picnic table. The cabins are nestled real pretty back in a wooded setting, and they're located close to the lodge. And then we have the lodge. The lodge was completed in 1967, and for a few months, it was the largest A-frame in the world. The lodge got lots of upgrades last year. It got a new roof, it got a new air conditioning system, and it got some new safety equipment. The lodge comes with 92 guest rooms. The guest rooms have a little refrigerator and a microwave, coffee maker, and they have a balcony. And then for dining at the lodge, we have the smokehouse dining room, which is the family dining room there. And we also have the Johnny Appleseed Lounge, but they have really good pizzas there, so you might want to check that out. And then there's lots of things you can do inside the lodge. There's an indoor pool, there's a game room, there's a gift shop, and then during the season, on the weekends, our naturalists come over and do some nature programs there as well. And then outside the lodge, we have an outdoor pool. There's a 27-hole disc golf course. We have a tennis court. There's shuffleboard. There's fire pits. There's just so much to do at the lodge. The lodge is the perfect place for some bigger group things. We have rooms that are perfect for business meetings, family reunions. The lodge is a perfect place for weddings. To make a reservation for the lodge, you can go to the HoustonWoodsLodge.com page, or you can call 1-800-282-7275. The lodge has lots of specials going now through the spring.
Thank you, Lori. Those are some wonderful options within the park. Now, if you're over at the lodge, it overlooks our lake, and we want to talk a little bit about Acton Lake today. So for that, I have Officer Deblow here with us. So he will be covering a little bit about our water.
Good morning. I'm Officer Deblow, Natural Resources Officer, stationed at Hueston Woods. Been with the division for 8 years, all of which have been at Hueston Woods. I spent a lot of time on the lake, so that's why I figured I'd talk about the lake with you today. The history of the lake, and its namesake, is named after Cloud Acton. He was the Preble County legislator that convinced the state to purchase the original land in 1941. And then in 1945, the state purchased additional land to make up what the park is now. In 1952, the Oxford Honor Camp was stationed at Hueston Woods. They were here for 12 years, tasked with just clearing and improving the land for the park. And actually, some of the buildings used for the Honor Camp are still in use today. Our park office and the current Nature Center are actually buildings from the Honor Camp, so that's kind of cool. The lake was impounded in 1956 across the 4-mile creek. The dam itself is a 1,200-foot earthen dam with a concrete spillway. And oddly enough, unlike a lot of the reservoirs in the state, Acton Lake was impounded purely for recreational opportunities. So basically that means that it's not a flood control lake, so the water stays fairly constant year-round. So in the wintertime, still plenty accessible for boating. Our dredge crew has been hard at work at improving the lake. Lakes have a natural tendency to fill with sediment from upstream, and then it gets deposited in the lake. So it creates a lot of shallow areas, sandbars, small islands. So they're hard at work trying to get that back to what it was before it started filling in, just to deepen the lake and improve water quality and boating and fishing opportunities. The lake itself is a 625-acre lake and has 2 navigable streams on it, the 4 Mile Creek and the Little 4 Mile Creek. The boat ramp for the lake is on the northwest side near the Marina and Park Office. And our parking lot will actually be resealed and striped this year, so really help with parking. Sometimes it can get a little confusing where those boat trailers go, so we hope with that new striping it'll be a lot more convenient for y'all. The marina has rental docks, both seasonal and kind of daily docks, so if you're camping and bring a boat, you can dock a boat as well. It has rental boats. We rent kayaks, canoes, small motorboats, as well as pontoons. And then at the marina is also an ADA accessible kayak launch ramp that's really nice. Makes it a lot easier for everyone really to get in the lake from a kayak. At the office, you'll be able to rent the docks, as well as do boat registrations. And if you're a first-time boater and want to get your Ohio boating education course done, you can do that at the office as well. So boating opportunities themselves, it's a great lake for pleasure boating. It's we have a boat swim area, so if you wanted to take a dip while you're out in the sun, you can do that. It's a calm, peaceful lake. It is a 10 horsepower, no wake lake, so it stays nice and calm. It's a great lake for sailing as well. The way that the lake is with the trees and the openings for the lodge and beach and all can create some unpredictable winds, so it's fairly challenging. And we also have a local sailing association here that would be more than happy to try to get you set up if you're a first-time sailor. If you just want to come out and watch them, they generally race about every weekend during the summer, so that's pretty cool to see if you've never seen that. It's a great lake for paddling. Like I said, it stays fairly calm, but if you wanted to get off the main lake and paddle up into the streams, it's a great way to see flora and fauna. It's a great way to see our waterfowl, shorebirds, and then as well as the eagles that nest on the lake. You can get a pretty good look at them by paddling upstream, or you'll just see them flying overhead and roosting near the lake. And you'll also get to see the marshmallows, which is a very showy aquatic flower. Will bloom in the kind of late summer, mid to late summer. You can also hunt on the lake. We have the lake open to waterfowl hunting by boat, as well as 12 duck blinds that are available by lottery. So if you are a waterfowl hunter and while you're purchasing your license for the year, look at that lottery on there as well and try to get yourself a duck blind. It is a great lake for waterfowl hunting. If you're not a waterfowl hunter, no worries. The park is also open to all legal game from October 15th through February. It's a great park, great area for hunting deer, rabbit, raccoons, squirrels. Our hunting maps are available at the park office as well as online at OhioDNR.gov. And it's a great fishing lake. I'm not going to get too in-depth in the fishing because our fish biologist, Justin Walters, will tell us more about that later. But if you are planning to come boat at Hueston Woods, don't forget your fishing pole. Thank you.
Thank you, Officer Debla. That was a wonderful look at our lake. But as he said, we have a wonderful one of our fisheries biologists on standby here to tell us a little bit about what's going on underneath of the lake. This may be a good time to mention, Justin, that you are on mute.
Hello, my name is Justin Walters. I'm one of 3 fish biologists for Southwest Ohio. I'm stationed in District 5 office out of Xenia. The Ohio Division of Wildlife samples game fish on public waters across the state. We use this data to inform stocking decisions and make fishing regulations. We sample black bass in the spring using an electrofishing boat when the fish are near the shore preparing to spawn. Surveys at Acton show a good population of largemouth bass. Fish over 21 inches are found in each survey every spring. The 2+2 15-inch length regulation allows anglers to remove a few smaller fish. This helps to stop stockpiling below the length limit and also improve growth rates. In the fall, crappie and bluegill are sampled with trap nets while they are gathering close to the bank. This type of net is basically a giant minnow trap with a lead attached to the bank. The crappie population of Acton Lake is dominated by white crappie. Crappie populations have improved dramatically after the removal of our experimental 9-inch length limit 30 fish bag. Before the regulation removal, we had fish stockpiling under 9 inches and essentially not growing. Fish now reach 9 inches in less than 2 years. The bluegill size and numbers have improved at Acton Lake over the last 4 to 5 years as well. It is not uncommon to catch fish up to 9 inches in the spring. Channel catfish populations are sampled using baited hoop nets in the summer. The catfish population of Acton is dominated with channel catfish along with some bullhead. We really don't have any flatheads in the lake. The fishery has a good population and good size structure, and it's about average for our district. Saugeye are sampled in the late fall using monofilament gill nets. Saugeye grow well in Acton Lake, but recruitment can be hit or miss. We get very good recruitment years like 2019, and then we have bad years like 2020, which everyone's had a bad year, when surveys indicate our stocking didn't take. However, Acton has a 15-inch length limit 6-fish bag on saugeye. The length limit is intended to protect the saugeye from harvest until age 2 to increase the sizes of fish caught and kept by anglers. So now I'm going to move on to a different spot or section about fishing. Our reservoirs in Ohio are aging, and like we talked about with the dredging, and the quality of fishing habitat is gradually declining. We try to help by making fish attractor reefs in the winter months. We typically use Christmas trees. These reefs help offer a little help to the fish as well as the fishermen. We conduct these projects on most reservoirs in a 3 to 5 year rotation. Last winter, we placed several of these reefs at Acton Lake. The actual fish attractor locations can be found on our Ohio Lake Map resource page, along with other popular high success shore fishing spots like Sugar Camp, the dam area, and below the dam in the spillway. This page also allows the many resources available to the public to be found, like the boat ramps, restrooms, marinas, all across the state, not just at Acton. Another great resource that was developed during 2020 was our new Hunt Fish OH mobile app. The fishing side of this app allows you to buy a license for you and anyone in your fishing group. The map feature will also help you find the fish attractors while you are out on the lake. The app also has many other features like the current fishing regulations built in. So if you're out on the water and you need a quick reference, you can see the length limits for any given body of water. A lot of the information that I presented today can be found on our new website as well. By going to the new fishing reports and forecast page, anglers can now see our stocking numbers for each lake and across the entire state each year, and some of our species-specific sampling results from our surveys that I talked about earlier. We are currently expanding this website for other lakes in the near future. Thank you.
Thank you, Justin. I really appreciate that look into how our different fish species are done. And what we're going to move on to next is a lot of folks actually kind of think of lakes as the starting point and parks build up around it. That is not the case for Hueston Woods. We are pretty special in the respect that we have a nature preserve within our park, and then we built up after that. We've brought our preserve manager, Eric, here today to tell us a little bit more about that preserve.
Thanks, Catherine. Good morning, everyone. My name's Eric Sagasser. I work for the Division of Natural Areas and Preserves under the supervision of Michelle Comer in the West District. And together, along with the seasonal staff, we manage about 15 preserves. And one of my favorite haunts in this region is Hueston Woods. A little bit about the Division of Natural Areas and Preserves for those of you who don't know. We are a sister agency to the state parks, to Division of Forestry and Wildlife. Our specific mission is to preserve the unique natural heritage of Ohio by protecting the finest land and water resources for future generations to enjoy. You can kind of think of us like a living land museum. We provide a snapshot into Ohio's past pre-settlement, what you might have expected to encounter at that point in time. Across the state, we have about 138 preserves. These range from bogs and fens to tall grass prairies to oak hickory forests and everything in between. Some preserves are dedicated for spectacular geologic features. Others might be held on to for rare plants and animals that might be found there. We were also recently rejoined by the Scenic Rivers program, and they're responsible for protecting our fine aquatic resources in those river corridors. Our sites, when you visit, because of the nature of our mission, they tend to be they often do not have developed facilities, and this is just because we're trying to maintain a low impact on these very special places. So a little bit about the history of the Hueston Woods State Nature Preserve in particular. The namesake stems from the wood's original owner, Matthew Hueston. Now, Matthew Hueston was deeded 200 acres of forest as a benefit for service in the Frontier Army under General Mad Anthony Wayne. And for reasons that we maybe don't quite understand, the woodlot here remained pretty much untouched, for the most part undisturbed. And so fortunately for us, local conservationists in the 1940s recognized the precious nature of this old growth forest and purchased the property to protect it. Subsequently, the state acquired it, and the old growth beech maple forest here is so significant, not only locally, but nationally, that the Secretary of the Interior in 1967 designated this a national natural landmark. Subsequently, with the inception of the Division of Natural Areas and Preserves, in the 1970s, it was designated a state nature preserve. We get together, the Parks and Preserve staff, every year to celebrate this history and the wonderful resource we have here, the ecology of the woods, during the Maple Syrup Festival every spring. And because of the significant portion of the woods that is dominated by maple, we have demonstrations on techniques making maple syrup throughout history, starting very early all the way up to modern times. So if you're interested in learning more about the State Nature Preserve, the state park, and maple syruping, we hope you'll join us for that in the near future. Other things in the preserve, I strongly encourage you to come out and explore our 3 miles of trails. Because it's a wonderful old growth forest, it gives you the opportunity to see some truly ancient trees. Just really spectacular to sit there and think about the footfalls that came before you while you're standing next to some of these giants. Many of them we know for a fact are over 300 years old, so they're wonderful to see. Because of the pristine nature of the woods, we also have spectacular displays of spring wildflowers. So those are also great to come out and check out in the spring. They're interesting because they have their entire life cycle in a few weeks while the sun is able to reach the forest floor before the trees leaf out. So we've talked about a couple things that you can come and see in the woods that we enjoy, but I also should discuss a few things that are in there that we're working to get out of the preserve. In my role, my current role, much of my time is dedicated to addressing non-native invasive species. A good portion of our effort goes to land management, and one that many of you have probably heard of at this point is the emerald ash borer. Many people were impacted by this. It's just one of several invasive species that we're dealing with in the preserve. So an invasive species, just as an overview, is any plant or animal that's non-native to a given area or ecosystem that's likely to cause harm to the environment there, human health, or the economy. And so the emerald ash borer impacted many folks locally, and the damage from this is also evident in the preserve. It's a little beetle, and the larval stage of the beetle can kill ash trees by cutting off the tree's vascular system. You can still see some of the damage where many of the ash trees have fallen in the preserve. The Audubon Society has been generous enough to help us in treating some of the larger ash trees that remain to try to hold on to them. Unfortunately, where some of the ash trees have fallen, this opens up canopy gaps that allow other non-native species to get a foothold as well. And so one of those others that you might see us out there trying to control is garlic mustard. Garlic mustard was planted here long ago as a salad green. Actually, some people eat it, but it has since escaped, and what it can do is form these large patches of monocultures that will outcompete our native plants. And then those native plants that we want here are no longer available to play their role in the ecosystem. So an example would be this can crowd out that nice carpet of spring wildflowers that we were talking about earlier. Garlic mustard is also interesting in that it's allelopathic, meaning it can poison surrounding plants as well. So we go out to control this. How we do this varies on where the plant is. It's a biennial plant, so it has a rosette stage its first year, and we will use very limited amounts of herbicide to control it in that stage. If the plant has bolted, if it's a second-year plant, oftentimes we'll actually go out and manually pull them to limit the damage it's doing in the preserve. Another big one that we have trouble with in this area and that we're working hard to control is honeysuckle. It's very prevalent in the area. It's a shrubby species, so they can get quite large. The problem with them is, again, here they can form these dense stands where they outcompete our native plants. And so control methods here again vary, but when the plants mature, often what we do is what's called a cut stump treatment, and we will kill the root system and remove the shrubs from the site. Keep an eye out for opportunities to help volunteering to remove these if you're interested. And it's a great opportunity also to learn how to control these if you're interested in doing that on your own property. And just if anyone is interested in learning more about invasive species control, other preserves, or other things you can do to help us, strongly encourage you to visit some of the resources that Catherine has shown here on the slide. We strongly encourage you to stay informed on issues of invasive species, because it is much easier to control them when their populations are very small. So you can help us if you know of one that is in the area. If you're informed on up and coming invaders, you can help us by stomping them out when they arrive before they become a larger problem. And we also strongly encourage using native plants for landscaping. as many of our non-native invasive species began as landscape plants. And so for more information, please visit the resources available on this slide. Thank you.
West of All right, everyone. I apologize for that. It looks like we're back up and running, but let's get our PowerPoint caught up with us, and we're going to learn a little bit about what else there is to do in Hueston Woods. I know we've covered a lot already, but our park has so many amazing things to do here. So I am Catherine. I am one of our naturalists here at Hueston Woods State Park, and I'm very fortunate to have this position. I've worked here for about 4 years now, and I am happy to tell you that one of my favorite things to do here, not only when I am working, but also I come here on my off time even, I love it so much, is our trails. We have some absolutely amazing trails to get to go through here. Our trails are going to be kind of a variety. You can go on just a regular hiking trail, and that can either be through our preserve, or we've got regular park trails. We also have a wonderful series of mountain bike trails. We have over 20 miles of mountain biking trails. And those are really great because they start off there's some easy routes. So if you're kind of a beginner or new to it, you can try some of those. Or if you are an experienced biker, you can jump up from there, or you can even do our challenge large race loop. So that is a pretty neat one to get to try out. And we have a really wonderful organization that comes through and helps with our mountain bike trails. The other thing, and if you are staying over in our campus, our horse trails. We have it's about 18 miles of our horse trails, and those have actually been recently updated. We were fortunate enough to receive a grant that allowed us to put a lot of effort into restoring our horses as well as our visitors. Now, all of these trails you can hike on, but just remember, if you're hiking on a mountain bike trail, or if you're hiking on a horse trail, please give way to those specific people, so that way everybody can enjoy the trails. Now, there are some things like trails that are all throughout the park, and those are going to be things like picnic areas. All of our picnic areas, including our shelter houses, are first come, first serve. So get out here, pick your favorite spot. They are scattered throughout the park. They are beautiful to just spend maybe lunch at, or have your family out for a little bit there. The other things that are going to be throughout the park are our playgrounds. We've got several different playgrounds located in different areas throughout the park, and they are a ton of fun for our kids as well as our adults. But my favorite thing that is all throughout the park has to be our fossils. We are set in Southwest Ohio here. We are looking at a nice limestone and shale bedrock. And so our fossils come from about the Ordovician time period. So we're thinking 500 million years ago. We are thinking shallow ocean, so very heavy in shells and corals and some of those invertebrates. And what's neat about our fossils is it's the abundancy, really. It's when you get into a creek, you pick up a rock, there's gonna be a fossil in it. So another neat thing is when you have that rock in your hand, you like it so much, take it home with you. You have a little keepsake of your time here at Hueston Woods. Fossil collecting is a really popular thing that brings folks to our park. Now, let's be a little bit more specific. Let's jump on that nice big main loop road. We're going to drive around a little bit to different spots within the park. The first spot we're going to go to is Hedgerow Rd. So you turn onto Hedgerow Rd and you are going into so many different things right there. So our covered bridge is a really popular destination for folks to drive through and just to go and see. The other thing though is there's a really great picnic area right there. And right below that covered bridge is a perfect spot to fossil hunt. So it's a good spot to take the family. Right beside our covered bridge is going to be our sled hill, which, if you can imagine, is getting a lot of use these days. The sled hill is a 2-tier hill, so you gotta make the long walk up to have the fun of going down that whole thing. But not only do we have that sled hill over there, but walk a little further along a beautiful acre plot of land that we partner with our National Wild Turkey Federation about everything, like Eric said. It wasn't so restored it with native grasses, beautiful wildflowers, and they've also put up some great nesting boxes. Those nesting boxes are thinking of cavity nesters like our songbirds and things like that. But that is also not the only thing you're going to see in there. We also, thanks to the Division of Wildlife and Division of Forestry who helped us, we put up 6 different types of, well, 6 bat houses, 3 different types, up in that area. So not only is this a good spot for you to take the family and walk the trail, sit in that bird blind they've put up, but they have also a great spot for our wildlife. So Hedgerow Rd, definitely one of my favorite places, but let's get back on that road and drive to another location. So we're on Main Loop Road, we're going, and you get to Brown Road. Brown Road's going to lead you up into Oxford, which is a really nice city that's near us. It is a college town with Miami University being within it, so there is a lot of fun stuff to do up there as well. But Brown Road, before you get to Oxford, you're going to pass our golf course. We have I'm not a golfer, but I constantly hear about how amazing our golf course is from our visitors and from the media. So it is a 18-hole golf course that has had a lot of kind of upgrades to it this past year. So we were able to put in new cart paths, which was, listening to our visitors and our staff say, we need these, we've got them. And then the other thing we did is put in a new irrigation system. So a lot of things are happening over at our golf course, and it is open all year round. So, if you get a nice winter day, give it a try. If you're here in the summertime, you might have some competition, but come on out. Right beside our golf course is a little step back in history. We have a really nice pioneer farm and museum, and in the summertime it is going to be open every weekend, and it is going to be inside. You can see kind of old historic that farmhouse and what it would look like back then, but really what is behind the building is what I find most interesting. They have a large barn that they open up and allow you to come inside and see all sorts of antique farm equipment and remnants of that time once past. So it's definitely something to stop and see here. Done these, let's get back on Main Loop Road, drive in down without Acton Dam, thanks to Officer Deblow. But let's talk a little bit about what's around that dam area. So on top, what you're going to find first is our archery range. So our archery range is challenging, to say the least. I teach a lot of archery programs over there, and sometimes I get challenged to face off our visitors, and I don't always win. But it is a lot of fun to get to go over there. It's a very neat setup. So they've got one really up close for folks who may be a little bit new to things, and so they can try their hand at a little closer. But when you're feeling a little confident, you might want to step to a target that's a little bit farther away, and then when you get really confident in yourself, you take those steps up and shoot from our platform. And that is one of my favorites, and I think the kids' favorite places to shoot from too. But our archery range is not the only place. You just take a short little walk there, and we do have a walking trail for our archery enthusiasts. You're walking along the trail, and then off to the sides are going to be different 3D targets for you guys. So there's a lot of opportunity here for folks who are interested in archery. And the other thing that we have in this area, so we're thinking that's the top of the dam. We want to go below the dam, which is a popular spot for fishing. And now you know all about fishing from Justin. You'll be able to come out here. The other thing that happens there, though, is for our birds. We have a bird banding station down there. And that's going to be mainly operated by Dr. David Russell, our professor, Dr. David Russell from Miami University, who he brings out his class and the National Audubon Society for our area. And they will do bird banding of songbirds. They'll do bird banding of hummingbirds, saw-whet owls. And what they're doing and why they're doing it is to just help kind of monitor and get some data basically about how our wildlife is doing, how the species are doing, what we can do better, what we're doing well. So the work that they're doing here not only is helping the students, but it's helping us as well. So hopefully in the future it will be helping our birds and everybody the same. So he does open up those classes and allows folks to come and get to see firsthand some bird banding opportunities as well. So we've talked about our dam area. Let's jump on one more time and head down to our beach area. Our beach area is very popular. This past year, it was bustling with people enjoying the nice, beautiful summer weather and just kind of being outside. So the beach is pretty big. It's about a 1,500-foot beach, and it's going to offer opportunities for families to come out in a safe environment. That being said, one, there's that nice picnic tables, playground around there, but it's not just for our people. We have a pet beach. You are allowed to bring your pets, and in that designated area, which is just slightly down from our beach, you can allow your four-legged friends to jump in the water a little bit. I know my dog certainly loves it. But not only do we have that beautiful pet beach, but right up the road from that beach is our dog park. This is the largest dog park I have ever been to. It is a 3-acre dog park, nice fenced-in area. It's got some little bit of agility equipment in there. It's got water in the, summer months, but really it truly is the acreage that sets it apart. But we've been to our dog park, dog beach. Let's head over to, of course, my favorite spot, our nature center. Our nature center is going to be right near our beach, our marina, and I absolutely love this place, and Officer Debla mentioned that there is some history behind our nature center. Our nature center used to be the canning house for our Oxford Honor Camp. And so it is a pretty neat place to get to see. We are open 10 a.m. from 4:30, 10 a.m. through 4:30. Inside is closed right now, but our outdoor exhibits are still open. And some things that you might get to see outside are these beautiful displays that have been funded graciously by our Visitors Bureau for Hueston Woods. And that's going to be our replica of a bald eagle nest. You can jump inside and see what it would be like if you were an eaglet. The other thing that we have around back is going to be our birds of prey wing exhibit. So these are large metal wing displays of different raptors. We've got eagles, hawks, owls, where you can spread your wings and see just exactly how you measure up to some of our birds. And so you can't go inside right now, but let me give you a little little peek into what is inside. So inside of our nature center is going to be a lot of some of our more stagnant displays. So we've got a history section, we've got some skins and skulls, we've got really nice rock displays. Another thing though that our Visitors Bureau donated to us was a beautiful painting by a local artist, Chrissy, and it is of our big woods. It is our Blue Heron Trail, or Sugar Bush Trail actually, I think it's down at the bottom, that peeks out over the lake, over to the lodge. It is a beautiful kind of hide and seek painting that she did where you can pick out different animals here and there. And so not only do we have some displays, but we also have some non-releasable animals that we take care of. Now I said non-releasable, that means that every animal within our facility, for some reason or another, can't go back out into the wild and take care of themselves. So we're looking at our reptiles inside, or I should say more scaly things because we do have fish. We've got our snakes and turtles, so we've got some different venomous and non-venomous snakes for you guys to see up close, whereas some people don't want to see them out in the wild. This is a great opportunity to get to see them and kind of appreciate them for what they are. Our other wildlife ambassadors, though, it's not just reptiles. We take care of a lot of different things, and these are what you can see right now. So outside, when you walk around our building, you're going to see a large display of birds of prey. So we've got hawks, owls, eagles, vultures, falcons. We've got a little bit of everything for you guys to get to see, as well as a few mammals. We've got a couple foxes at the moment. We have got a red fox named Todd and a red fox who just happens to be black, named Ryder. And they are, you know, like I said, all of them can't be released for some reason or another. And so we want to make sure we have a really great home for them. And if you haven't been out here in a while, it's going to look very different. We are fortunate enough to partner with the Division of Wildlife to fund a brand new, larger than ever before Raptor Enclosure. This Raptor Enclosure was put together by our own Division of Parks and Watercraft staff, along with the Division of Wildlife, different park systems, and we were also fortunate to have the Department of Transportation come in and actually help us take down our old enclosures. So like I said, everything was taken out and brand new was built back up. Even though all of these cages still met our requirements that they needed, we wanted to make them better. And by better, we mean bigger. We've got nice big cages that offer a lot of opportunities for the bird to get some different perch options, get in and out of the weather. It also gives them just some good space. And for visitors, it's also a totally different experience because before you just walked up and stood by the gate. Now you actually get to take a step in, walk through our little paddock, and get a little bit closer to these wonderful birds that, again, you typically don't get to see out in the wild. So we are very fortunate and absolutely loving our brand new display. So please, please come out and visit. When you are visiting, and just because we've had to do things virtually does not mean we have stopped, please come to some of our programs. We use all of these wildlife ambassadors on some of our programs, but we also do other things. I mentioned we do archery programs. We do kayak, canoe, stand-up paddleboarding programs. We take folks down to the creek to help you look for those fox. We do night hikes, litter pickups. Oh my goodness, there's just always something for folks to get to do. And I feel like because I've talked about our birds of prey so much, I had to bring somebody with me today to show off a little bit. So this here is Freya, and Freya is a peregrine falcon. Now Freya unfortunately broke her collarbone. And when she did that, she broke it in a way that even though it's a healed bone now, she can't fly anymore. And that means that somebody needs to take care of her. Who better and where better to live than our brand new Raptor Enclosure? So Freya stays with us and she is out on display. Not right now because it's a little bit too cold for her, but that just means come back in springtime. You can still see some of our birds now here in the wintertime, but come back in spring and you can see her out on display as well. Now, being a peregrine falcon, this is not a bird that you would typically see in this part of Ohio. You really want to see peregrine falcons in our cities more, our big, large cities. So you think of Cleveland, Cincinnati, Columbus. They're usually cliff dwellers, so you're thinking of our coasts more for peregrine falcons. However, our skyscrapers mimic those cliffs pretty well. So peregrine falcons have been able to come back to Ohio and thrive a little bit. Now, these are a bird that have some pretty nice kind of defining characteristics of a falcon. They're going to be fast flyers. They are around 200 miles per hour when they dive towards their food. And as falcons are fast flyers and catchers of their food in air, they need to have a couple characteristics to help them out. So one of which being that nice black line under their face. All falcons have that. And basically what that does is as the sun is shining on their face, rather than impacting their eyesight, it hits off that black line, not obstructing their vision, so they can still catch their food with those beautiful long talons that she has. Being a bird of prey, come on out and see these guys. You'll see them with their nice sharp curved beak, sharp talons used for gripping their food, and they are just something special to get to see here at Hueston Woods. So I really appreciate you guys taking a moment, not only to spend with Freya and I, but with everybody. I would like to maybe ask a few of our great Q&A questions out here. And one of those great Q&A questions was, what kind of things at Sycamore are great to picnic at? Brian, would you mind jumping in here and maybe mentioning one of your favorite spots over at Sycamore?
Yeah, all of our picnic areas at Sycamore, particularly the shelter house that the picture was up earlier, are just great areas to go adventure at. With those, as also I think Ken mentioned, it's a short walk to our fishing ponds as well. So feel free to come out to Sycamore and check them out. Catherine, did we have any other questions?
Brian, I actually think that concludes everything. We were able to answer everybody's questions as we were going along. I do want to thank everybody for their patience as we had that little bit of a glitch, but I believe Brian has some news about what's coming up next.
Yeah, well, thanks everybody. Wow, what a lot of information in a very short time. I'd like to thank Eric from the Division of Natural Areas and Preserves and Justin from Division of Wildlife for jumping on today and presenting and talking about some of the great things that you can see or experience at Hueston Woods State Park as well as Sycamore. Just a few other things that weren't mentioned today, some exciting stuff that's coming up is a new nature center. We are in the process right now of working on plans for a new nature center. We'll look at unveiling that probably in 2022. Also, paving. Any of you that have visited Hueston Woods, a few roads are a little rough in our campground, and so we are going to have a large paving project this year at Hueston Woods. And then the lodge improvements will continue through the capital budget. There are more lodge improvements to come on top of what's already been done. And the other big one, if you've been to Hueston Woods in the spring, and sometimes even in the summer, you have probably experienced water over our roadways and roadways being closed, our main loop road being closed. In particular at our campground, a lot of times when we get the rainfall events, it impacts your ingress and egress of the campground. And actually, we've got some capital money, and we are going to start looking at working with a consultant to start looking at how we can make improvements there with those what we call the low water crossings. So with that, I thank everybody. As Lori mentioned, we're expecting another great year at Ohio State Parks. So with that, don't hesitate or don't delay making your reservation. Get on reserveohio.com and make your reservation soon. As you know, for camping, you can make a reservation up to 6 months in advance. So don't hesitate to make those. So with that, each Friday we'll be visiting a different park in Southwest Ohio. Next Friday, February 26th at 11 o'clock, we'll be heading to Caesars Creek State Park. So feel free to join us next week if you'd like. And I want everybody to stay warm and stay safe out there. And keep in mind, spring's only 29 days away. Thanks, everybody.